Good morning, South Beach. Here we are with our very first podcast with our very first guest, Joe Fournier, nightclub impresario, professional boxer, and you just never know what's next. Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure, and to be the first of the many, I hope.
Yeah, we're very excited. So I don't know if anyone knows, but not only that are you a pro boxer, but I am your coach as well.
Yeah.
And we started this journey quite some time ago, and we've gone through some ups and downs as people do, and it's been a blast. But I know you got a lot of new and exciting things going on. Anything you want to tell us about right now that you have that's what you're doing right now so everyone knows?
Right now, I'm training with you for a fight in May, hopefully against KSI in London. So that'll be a big one. And then I've obviously got my clubs in Mykonos, Bomboniere, Tulum, Bomboniere, Sardinia, Bomboniere. We're opening a few more places this summer in Sardinia. And then we're working on a huge project in Madrid that should be exciting, in Ibiza. So yeah, we've got a lot going on this year.
So why did you, people don't know, maybe some know, some know. How did you get started? How did you go from, I know you don't come from money. You come from a small town that no one's ever heard of.
Except when I'm on TV.
Yeah. Where are you from, actually? Literally the town.
Hounslow, London.
Hounslow, yeah. So even I know it, I couldn't remember it.
Yeah.
So how do you go from Hounslow to, wearing the top designer clothes in our podcast in Miami Beach? There's a lot of steps in between.
Yeah, no, I was a dishwasher. It was my first job. I was, everyone else, I loved sports, actually. It was my thing. And I grew up, and my mom was really strict single mother, and I had two older brothers, and they were getting in all sorts of trouble. And she was trying to, by the time it got to me, I had all the rules that she missed out on them because she was figuring out as she went along. And, I literally couldn't leave the house, but every day, 3 p.m. after school, I'm home. And then we didn't have enough money for me to do all the sports that I wanted to do. So in England, we play cricket. So, you got pads, bags, all of that. You need $500 to do that. And we're going back 30 years. That's a lot of money. And then, you got 4 of us, 3 boys and a girl. So that's a lot of kids, a lot of sports. And, we were living off, government dole money. So there wasn't enough money. So I really wanted to work, but my mom would never let me get a paper round because she was too afraid I'd get hit off my bike or whatever. So I went, we had like a strip mall, and there were five shops on the list. It was a movie shop, like this, rented videos back in there, like a fake Blockbuster. It was a hairdresser. It was a sports shop, which was like the dream job I wanted. And it was a curry house, Indian curry house. So I go to the movie shop and I'm like, yeah, I love movies. And I did love movies. I'm a movie buff. I watch movies all the time. So I'm like, I love all these movies, this. And then the guy's like, yeah, okay, but how old are you? And I'm like, 18. I'm 13, right? So he's like, yeah, no thanks. I go to the hairdresser and I'm ballsy, as you know. I go for it. So I walk in, I'm like, yeah, I'm a hairdresser. Like, where'd you stay? I'm like, at the local college. He's like, okay. And back in the day, they would, because, there was nothing online. So how do you check if someone's a hairdresser? You give them a wig, those little wigs that you put on the mat, and you cut their hair. So I'm like hacking away.
Come on.
Fake, yeah.
Oh, my God.
So didn't get the job.
Obviously.
I go into the sports shop, and I thought I had him, but he then asked for my national insurance, which is your social, and I couldn't provide it, so he cuts me. The Indian guy goes, what do you like at washing dishes? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, get in the back, you start today. And I got a job washing dishes, and I did all that to buy 100 pounds running spikes, the new Nike running spikes of the generation, because I wanted to track and field. And that was my first job, washing dishes.
And how long did you last?
Oh, I did that for 9 months. Well, it took me 3 months to make that. I was on $1 an hour.
Yeah.
I'd do 100 hours after school, and I had to bribe my brother to give him some money to tell my mom I was out with him, but actually I was at work because she would have never let me work. And so that's a lot of hours, 4 hours, 3 times a week, 12 hours. It took me a long time to make $100. But then I did. And just went from there. Then I started scalping sneakers, buying sneakers from one store, taking to my school teachers. Oh, do you want to buy these sneakers? Every little hustle in the game. And then, then went from there to, playing sport, really. Basketball was my first sport. No one knows that, but I actually was an England captain. And then you started to get bigger deals and bigger things came on. And then I started a gym business. I built that up. That went really big. And then I lent my buddy some money when I sold the gym business. And I said, but if you don't pay me back, I'm going to take the club. because it was for a club.
Nightclub.
Yeah. And he never paid me back. But it was the coolest nightclub in London. So he was there, like, partying with the Spice Girls. Beyonce came, David Guetta, you name it, everyone was in there, Carmen Diaz. But he was going back in the back doing blow and not seeing where the money was going. And I was from a gym business, I don't do drugs. And I kind of was looking at it thinking, oh, this guy's going to pay me back faster than expected. He never paid me back. So I took the business, but I realized I need someone with his skill. But I'm corporate. So I then put my corporate structure around him and backed the horse, and we ended up 18 places.
So he stayed.
He stayed, partied, did his party thing. I just used him as a promoter, made my $1 million back, and then I kept him in 51-49 after that.
Wow.
We opened a bunch of places, and there was huge success. Sold that company, and then he went back to his old ways because I was kind of the brains. And then when we split the company, when we got bought out, he kept a few of the locations because he wanted to keep going the life.
Yeah.
But I kind of had already made a lot of money selling the gyms. Which I could have retired off. I made a lot of money selling the clubs. I double retired, and then he calls me and he's like, listen, I bought a 28 million pound house. I'm under the water. I'm about to lose everything I've ever made. So I need 2 million next week. And we had a building that was worth about 8. I'm like, well, I'll take the building back and I'll figure it out. And he was like, done. So buy the building back, and that's how the brand Bonbonniere got created.
In that building? In
that building, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was a legendary building right in front of Selfridges in London. And then I bought it back, and I didn't know what to do with it because I kind of was like out of the club business. I'm like, I was like 35, like, I'm done, And then, no, longer. 33. And I was like, yeah, I'm done with it. And then we had to open it because if you open the business, it's worth much more of the real estate. So if you're closed, someone's going to give you 2.5. If you're open and you're making 3-4 million a year, now that building's worth 12.
Sure.
So I was like, oh, we have to open. And just as I was umming and ahhing, do I open it? Do I flip it? Selfridges in front got the license for the Hard Rock Hotel next door. So now my real estate went through the roof, and we opened it, and I wanted to think of what I wanted to call it. And I'd been living in Miami a lot. We'd been training together at this point. I think we just won the title around that time. And I would listen to the 50 Cent song, I'll take you to the candy shop. And I'm like, why don't we call the club Candy Shop? And I call all my advisors, and they're like, you've been living in America too long. It's so cheesy. What's wrong with you, So I'm like, but I like the idea of having like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory going into like kind of a crazy candy floss machines, kind of like a fun candy shop, but a nightclub. And so I sit with my designer who did the Armani Hotel in Milan, and he says to me, we're going to create a ceiling that's all these amazing LED lights that's Fabergé inspired. So I Google Fabergé eggs. This is how basic I do things. I Google Fabergé eggs. The third Fabergé egg is called Bonbonniere. Bonbonniere in French is a candy decanter. So like candy shop. So the front was a candy shop, penny sweets. And the irony was we would break even in the day selling penny sweets. Right? It's that street hustle from Hounslow. Yeah. So I'd sell little candies to people because right in front of Selfridges, great footfall. By the time we opened, I was only making profit. It was the most genius thing. But everyone saw it as like, oh, it's a speakeasy. It's so cool. You go through a phone box and you go down to the club. And then that was how Bonbonniere got created.
So the candy shop was paying the rent?
Paying the rent.
Wow.
Well, it wasn't a rent because we owned the building, but paying all the staff, management, DJs, lighting, dancers, everything. The candy shop was making $10,000 a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that story. That's great.
Yeah. So, and then that's how it kind of grew and built up, and there's some ups and downs in between and some mess ups, but pretty much it was just, if a bit like my boxing is like, you don't have to, like you always say, if talent doesn't work, what does it say?
Yeah, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard.
Exactly. So I'm all hard work. I wasn't really a talented business genius that's going to create Uber, but I just stuck with it and just kept going. So now 18 years later, I was like, you're the guru of nightlife and all this stuff. I'm like, no, I just kept doing the same thing for 18 years.
Gotcha.
Same with boxing.
So I think people want to know about the club business, and people always ask me they ask me about you, and they ask me, and have I been to your places, and what is the best club? What was the hottest of all the spots and all this time? What was the number one hot spot that you were running?
You know what's crazy is the Rose Club, which is then became Bonbonniere London, was really cool because Rihanna, it was her favorite spot in London. And when Rihanna was at her peak, she would come to only the Rose Club. And she, we had a good, like hello friendship. And that was like the real London hotspot that really like built it up, that building. And then when we turned it into Bonbonniere, everyone knew that location. And it was an off the beaten path location. It wasn't like your home run location because I could only afford what I could afford. And when we made Bonbonniere, it just became like so many cool things happened. I remember I broke up with a girlfriend. Jamie Foxx walks in and he starts singing. We hadn't paid him anything. Right, and he started singing because he knew the story because we'd been together in the daytime. He started saying, "I ain't saying she's a gold digger," right, and that goes viral a week after I break up with my ex-girlfriend, who's potentially a gold digger. Remember?
Potentially.
So, and then Snoop Dogg wants to do like his birthday there, and then it's the 1 year anniversary, and 50 Cent happened to be in town, and Paris Hilton came and DJ'd, and Nicole Scherzinger was always in town filming X Factor, and after work she'd want to go somewhere. So it just this kind of catalytic effect of all these huge names just want to be, so it became like the celebrity hangout. And we had 50 replica Fabergé eggs that was all given to one of the celebrity or VIP clients. And they had their own locker, so they would come in and they could put their cigars in there or whatever, like their favorite bottle of tequila. And that kind of really took off. Everyone wanted a locker, but there's only 50 and there's 11 million people in London. So it was kind of building that exclusivity and that high end. And then from that, the biggest operators in Mykonos came to me, but I didn't like their location. So I said no, and everyone's like, "You're crazy." So one of my competitors took that location actually in Mykonos originally. And the guys that I ended up doing the deal with in Mykonos, who are my friends now 9 years later, they had a bar. It was like a cafe. But I looked in front of the cafe and there was Louis Vuitton. And Louis Vuitton, they don't do franchises. So someone really smart, way smarter than me and way richer than me at the time was like, "This is the building to buy because this is the right location." So I'm like, that's the right location. They did the work. Yeah. So I take this location and I'm just calculating. We 30 times the revenue they were making within 3 years. So if they were making $1 million, and we ended up now doing 30, for example. So that just hit because I built it around what I wanted. I was getting older. I didn't want to be in a basement in London, smoky basement. I was open air. The music was inside, and it kind of like leaked outside so you could talk. Beautiful people, under the stars. So that was like an iconic, it still is an iconic place. 9 years later, we're getting stronger every year. It's uncanny. Wow. And we don't book any famous DJs. We don't do any of that. And then...
just location.
Just location and great staff and great service and just a happy place. I don't think like we've ever had a fight there in 9 years. No. And you have 600 drunk people 7 days a week for 95 days a year. Yeah. So it's just a very happy place. Like next to us is a church, actually. Where my neighbor is a church and opposite me is a church and the other side is Louis Vuitton. Wow. So it's kind of like a happy place. You can't be mad when you're there.
You, Louis and Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. And the Mykonoan people are like incredible people. They really like welcomed us. We came in a real humble way and really embraced like the local community. We even stay open until October just for the local community, which,
Oh, so they get to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's really something that's important to me is integrating around the people that are supporting you and not coming in with like, "Oh, we're from London, so we know better." And a lot of the other operators, like the people that went first, that's what happened to them, and they're nothing now. So, and then Mexico came along after I fought Raycon, knocked out Raycon, and then I flew to Mexico on vacation. And then I get a call, "These guys want to meet you," and they only the biggest operators in Mexico, 240 places, wow. Anderson Group. Like, "We really want Bonbonniere for Tulum." And we meet, we get on like a house on fire. Within 6 days, we've done the deal.
Nice.
And then within 8 weeks, we've opened a club.
Wow.
And, $20 million later, in 1 year, we're now the only club, the coolest club in Tulum. And that was weird, because, everyone thinks you know everything you're doing, right? And that's the cool thing about the only way to be great is to keep your ears open and your mouth shut, right? And when I went there, I'm like, well, I'm going to do the same thing I did in Mykonos because it clearly works. And so I wanted to play kind of like a bit of open format, hip hop. And the culture in Tulum isn't that. And you got to listen to the culture around. It's more like subliminal, deep house, very kind of I guess, like free flowing.
Yeah, kind of like modern hippies.
Modern hippies, yeah, rich modern hippies.
Yeah.
So when you go and play Rick Ross, it doesn't really go down well. It's not like South Beach. So I kept trying to like force it down people's throats because I'm like, we can't lose. We got the only liquor license, late liquor license. We have the only place pretty much with air conditioning in the whole of Tulum. So I'm like, just to use the bathroom, I could make money, an air conditioned toilet. But that wasn't the case. And so I then had to go back to square one. Started to go to all the little after-hour parties, get friendly with all the locals, hanging out, and like, I don't do drugs, so like me staying up till 8 a.m. is a real stretch, Lots of espressos and Red Bulls, playing like, little illegal poker games with the local rich dudes that are gonna help me later. And then everyone's like, that guy from England, he's not so much of a rich jerk-off. He's actually kind of cool.
Not so bad.
Yeah, so then they were like, oh, let's go to your club. And slowly, and they're like, dude, but you gotta change music. So then we went, I'm like, okay, everyone, my team's telling me, my Mexican partners are telling me, everyone's saying I'm now the dick, So I changed the music and it just went like this. And it was just me just sticking to my guns and being stubborn. And now that's kind of, if you want that kind of like in Miami, you have space. Mm-hmm. We're very similar to that, where there's like huge 1,000 plus capacity. Oh, wow. We retract the roof when the sunrise comes up and crazy sound system, and the energy is amazing. So you can't compare Mykonos to Tulum because it's two different experiences. And then Sardinia is like a restaurant, Bomboniere restaurant, but with a club, like a club turn restaurant. Mm-hmm. And it's right on the marina of in Sardinia, in Porto and it's just a real, I don't know, it's very romantic and it's very older. It's kind of like where you'd go with your wife and when your daughter's 18 and she wants to go out with dad. Mm-hmm. And it's a great crowd. So, like, everyone in there is a multi-billionaire. We've had checks from, 8 people for dinner, 200,000, things like that. Wow. So they're all very different. Yeah. So kind of like you got to go to all of them to see what it is.
So I'm sure people want to know because they've asked me, right in the gym, they've asked me, where are the hottest girls at all these places?
Ooh. I gotta say, so...
Tough question.
That's a very tough question. So, hottest girls in the world or hottest girls in my places?
In your places.
I think if you want that kind of very elegant, classy wife material, you're gonna go to Mykonos. And you're going to get, all the Victoria's Secret models go there. Gigi Hadid's been there, Bella Hadid, Kendall Jenner, like that's the crowd, right? Mm-hmm. All the best of the best of the best. And then, but you got to come correct because I'm sure that Bella Hadid isn't going to just go with some guy, as a bartender. Sure. She might do, but, you're taking tables spending 50, 60,000 is normal there.
Yeah. I've seen supermodels do a lot.
Yeah.
A lot less for a lot more.
I'm sure. Tell us, Dino.
It's your interview.
Yeah. So that's that. But then in Tulum, you have this incredible. What's great about Tulum is a lot of Latin American people struggle to get visas to the United States of America, unfortunately. Because they're great people, great workers. They want to do something better than what's happening in their hometown of, Caracas or Buenos Aires, that's now in a slump. And it's cyclical, right? So in 10 years, the Argentinians will be the richest in the world. Like now the Mexicans couldn't make more money if they tried, And 10 years ago, it was like, let's build, actually 3 years ago, it's like, let's build a border. But now, like, the Europe's opened up to all the Mexicans. That's why Madrid's booming. So if you look at all these incredible people that go to Mexico, because it's the closest thing to the United States.
Sure.
So now you have the hottest of the hot that can't get a visa. They can't go to New York and meet the hedge fund billionaire now living in Tulum.
Nice.
Because there's a beach. It's cheap to get a condo. They can get work anywhere because why not? And now you have this. So if you like your Latin market, Tulum like all day. Like there is a huge influx of some of the most incredible women. Argentina, Venezuela, Colombia. So if you were single, I know where you'd be opening your next gym.
Okay, good. I'm glad we got that cleared up. So, separate story is how the boxing got started. You came to the gym with a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah.
Michelle Pooch.
Yeah.
And she just said, here, my friend working out. He was really she was like very vague about it. He's going to do like a charity boxing match. Can you help him? He's on vacation. And, you know, whatever it's been, 8 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
But how did that come about, the first initial fight?
So I was building the clubs in London. And one
You
of
were
the...
33.
Oh, this is before 30. I met you 12 years ago.
How old were you 12 years ago?
28.
28, oh.
Yeah, I was younger. Yeah. So basically what happened was I came to Miami. I've been coming to Miami a lot from a kid. I love Miami. And I met a Miami girl who I started dating. I flew her to London. She lived with me in London. And one thing in England that we don't have is Miami girls. So if you're a British guy, and I have some friends I won't name that thought they could take on a Miami girl.
It's a different animal.
It's a whole different beast. So be careful, guys from England coming to Miami. It's extremely expensive, and you need a lot of brain power. So I didn't have that at the time. So I meet this girl from Miami. She's beautiful. I'm like, come move to London. We're gonna get married, have kids, and live happily ever after. Because I think she's gonna be, amazing. But unfortunately, you need to. It's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm working, I'm making money, I'm growing, but nothing ever seems enough, right? Because you got this person that's used to Miami. So you got to, I want to move to a bigger house. All right, you get a bigger house. I don't Porsche is like last season. That's what, kids get when they leave college in Miami. So now you got to upgrade the car. So now I'm working, I'm hustling. But in my business, the more active you are, in any business, this is a business tip. The more active you are, the more money you make. So if you stay home, you don't make any money. If you're out there getting yourself social, meeting people, having fun, drinking, being social, do everything you're doing, you make money. Calling people, checking on people, that's how you make money. So I'm out going out, I'm having fun, I'm meeting people. The more I do it, the more money I make. The more money I'm making, the more happier she is. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing something right. But I let my health go. So I got fat. I got like, what's 120 kilos?
240 pounds?
Yeah, 240, 250, mm-hmm. Solid. Yeah. And I'm 6'1", so I shouldn't be in anywhere near that realm. So I'm fat and I'm happy and I have a girlfriend and I'm making money and I'm rich and I'm living in London and life is great. And then I fight with a girlfriend and I get single. Mm. I think you might have advised me on that one, mm-hmm. on that decision. So I go on a diet. Like everyone goes on a diet. Then the diet lasts 3 days and next thing you know I'm in the pub drinking again with my friends. Then business isn't going so well. So now I'm drinking more, I'm getting fatter. Right, so it's this kind of effect of now the other all the good stuff is now going bad. And what I understand now of being older is that you should take your problems on head first, and you shouldn't mask the problems. And one of the most important things for me was in problems I've had in recent times is I go sober, totally sober. I stop drinking everything because I want to whatever it's going to hurt. It's just a day, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If you drink, it's 6 months.
Drag it out.
You drag it out. So you're just masking the pain. It's like taking a headache tablet for brain cancer. It doesn't take away the brain cancer. Yeah. So I didn't know that at the time. So there are things I learned, education. So I got really fat. So now diet doesn't work. Tits going bad doesn't work. So I had to put myself under an extreme amount of pressure to get a diet because, I'm assuming this is an adult podcast, but I remember I was still getting girls because I still had money, I still owned nightclubs, and I still, lived in the right neighborhood and drove the right car. But I remember there was a point where I'm sleeping with this girl. I must have been about 200 pounds heavier than her. And I looked down, and I was like, yeah, she can't be enjoying this. I was like, this is terrible. I was like, this is someone's daughter, and then she's just here because I'm loaded, and she's just hating life right now. And I wasn't even paying her. She was just going for the long term. She was in it for be the wife. I'm like, I got to do something about it. So the next day, I see an ad. If you want to fight, 10-week training camp, fight, charity fight. So I'm like, you know what? I love giving
advertisement.
An advertisement.
Where?
Facebook.
Wow.
Right?
So that stuff works.
So that was it, yeah. And I'm like, how hard could it be? Like if some accountant's doing it, I could do it. So I call up the guy. He's like, yeah, come down the gym. Basically, you don't have to pay. You just, it's called White Collar Boxing London. And I give him a shout out because they changed my life in a way. Yeah. Scott Borthwick is the guy's name. So essentially it was an advertisement. He just bought all these executives, and you train twice a week, one day in a weekday, one day on a weekend. You sparred. And then after like a couple of weeks, they match you with a guy like that you met the day before, and they're like, you're gonna fight him. It's 4 rounds or 3 rounds, and I remember 2 minutes, headgear, boxing gloves, and you have to just sell 20 tickets. And I was like, okay, well, I can fill a nightclub, I can sell 20 tickets, and you don't have to pay him anything. And if you want to do extra classes, you can pay him privates. And I trained for 10 weeks and fought my first fight, and because I had an incentive, I lost 15 pounds. So now I'm a stone lighter. That was a big deal. I couldn't lose 2 pounds without putting it back on. And I didn't drink for the last 4 weeks. So I'm okay, this works. And I won. I won. My only ever points win was my first ever fight. I won on points. And then he's like, by the way, you're kind of like excelled past a lot of these people. So do you want to fight again? Like, when's the next one? He's like 6 weeks. And the other thing that I found out, which is really interesting to all those boxers out there that want to like create a career, is selling tickets is just as good as having a good jab. I'm telling you right now. If you want to make money, and what I didn't realize is people either love me or hate me. And so everyone's buying a ticket. It's the only thing in the world where if they hate the person, they still buy a ticket. Whereas, like, you don't go to a concert if you hate the person, right? You know, I hate Bon Jovi, let me buy a ticket. Whereas if you hate Floyd Mayweather, you want to see him get knocked out so bad, you'll pay $5,000 to sit ringside to watch it close up. And Mayweather, that's why he's got that smile. So I had the same thing. All the nightclub people were my competition, right? They hated me. They all bought a ticket. So where I had sold 20 tickets, I sold 500 tickets. I closed the whole pub down. So next she's like, you want to fight again? So now I'm fighting. So 20 fights later, or however many it was, I don't remember exactly. Now I'm like the champion of this league, this white collar boxing league. And the next step up was unlicensed. So I come on vacation to Miami. I've now lost about 60 pounds from where I started. And I'm still like a novice in boxing. And I know, because I was a professional basketball player, I knew I was a novice. I wasn't trying to get any dreams. And I meet you. And we start training, and you're super helpful, super nice. And you knew I was a novice. But when you come to the Fifth Street gym, you got to be ready to spar, and you got to be ready to get your hands dirty. And Dino is, let's say, not very sensitive to your emotions.
No, that's true. I'm very sensitive. That's true.
Yeah.
I really care how you feel. I like how you perform.
Yeah. So I guess I performed decent enough. And then you agreed to do my corner, although it wasn't a pro bout, it was unlicensed. And I was going straight for the title in London.
Right.
And I remember
a very famous arena. What's it called?
York Hall, London.
York Hall, which
and
was
I never
amazing.
fought there. Yeah.
Which is amazing. Where a lot of big world champions have all fought coming through England boxing.
Yeah. And then I remember you came with Mercedes to London, and then we were losing, right? We were losing the first 3 rounds.
It was a little slow start.
A little slow start. Yeah. And we had 4 rounds, and I think in the 4th round, was it? I dropped him with a body shot.
Yeah.
And then won the fight, and I became the winner of that. And then you turned around to me and said, no, you should do 1 pro fight. I'm like, you think so?
You looked at me like I was crazy.
I was like, pro fight? And you were like, yeah, 1. Because think about it, you'll tell your grandkids, grandpa was a pro fighter.
Yeah.
And, you kind of sold that. And then we started training for real. And I kind of stayed here, didn't I? I had the house on Venetian.
Sure.
And then we did our pro fight in Dominican Republic, first round knockout. And then I got a bug for it. And I remember, we'll fast track all the fights. And it's 3 years later now. Now we're pretty good. We're now...
And you're sparring with big pros. Big
pros, yeah. James DeGale.
Yeah.
Who
gold medalist, world champion.
Yeah, who beat me up a little bit. But again, it was after him I stepped up.
Yeah,
I remember kind of learning. Yeah. And that's one thing I will say that boxing does as a human. You got to live outside your comfort zone. If you live outside your comfort zone, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, you'll get better. Yeah. If you stay within your comfort zone, you'll never do anything. One of the things that I'm appreciative of you is you always took me outside of my comfort zone, whether it was advice I didn't want, which you give me all the time, whether it's training I didn't think I could do, whether it's sparring I didn't think I could do, and I'm very appreciative of that because 10, 12 years later, I've kind of overexceeded why.
You always rise to the occasion, even sometimes you're resistant, you're stubborn, but you do eventually come around.
Yeah. So you should always live outside your comfort zone if you can. And then Chris Eubank Jr.
Chris Eubank Jr. was a big world champion. you did way better than everybody expected, especially Chris Eubanks Jr.
Yeah.
He was kind of mad.
He was kind of mad. Yeah. He never finished the rounds.
Yeah, we scheduled whatever 6, and after 4, he was like, "I'm out of here."
Yeah.
So I'd been frustrated, and I was super happy.
Yeah,
and I could have been happier. Made my day because I get criticized. People are always asking me, "Is it a real fight? Like, is Joe really fighting?" I said, "Look who Mike Tyson fought for his first 3 fights. Look who Sugar Ray Leonard fought. Nobody fights anybody unless you're actually. I shouldn't take that back about Sugar Ray Leonard. If you're an Olympic gold medalist, then you start to fight real people because you're on TV right away. Everybody else fights nobodies or less than nobodies. There's big famous world champions that fight guys that are 1-0. Or 0-1, and then they fought that world champion, and they never fought again. These guys that you fought before you and fought after you, they're professional fighters. Are they the greatest fighters in the world? Of course not. Yeah. That's not the point. The point is for you to learn on the job. The NFL has preseason. The NBA has preseason. Essentially, it's like that. It's how you get started, and you learn. And the difference is that when they're learning, they're not getting potentially knocked out.
Yeah.
These guys are gunning for you. They may not have enough to beat you, but you never know. Any one punch could end it. So, I put you out there confident you can handle it, but anything can happen. Yeah. I thought, this is an ultra successful international client. A normal coach would not put you in those positions. No. They think you're going to blow the client. Like, what are you, retarded? Can I say that? So anyway, but I had confidence in you. You rise to the occasion, and you did. Yeah. And eventually, we wound up fighting at the O2 Arena.
Yeah, we fought. So I get a call after winning all these unlicensed fights. I get a call from David Haye. I think it was my 3rd professional fight. And it was a guy that worked for David Beckham. Told him, this guy selling crazy tickets in London. He's knocked everyone out since his first fight. You should put him on your card. And David Haye was just making a comeback against the Cobra, I think it was, at the O2 Arena. So my phone rings. And I never liked David Haye. No one knows this, but I hated the guy. Because when I had the Rose Club, the one I told you Rihanna used to come to, all the prettiest girls in London came to. And David Haye is very good looking, and he's a world champion. And he never spends a dime on alcohol. Right? So it's like the worst human being. He comes to my club. You have to kind of let him in out of respect. Sure. Goes home with 3 girls and doesn't spend a dime. So he's like the worst person to ever come to your place. So I used to watch him hating on him. Like, this fucker, every time coming in, left with the girl I liked. She was staring at me. Now she's going home with him. Obviously, I'm the fat nightclub owner at the time. So when David Haye calls me, I'm like, first, is this a joke? B, I'm a bit agitated. Then he tells me, well, I'd want you to fight on my card at the O2 Arena. And I'm like, I think it's a hoax because I had a lot of haters. Like, meet me at Zuma. I live next door. Comes to Zuma. It's David Haye. He's like, I'll send you a contract. I want you to fight. This is the date. I think it was in May. It's May sometime. I'm like, okay. 2016 May. And he gives me a choice. He says, you can fight a bum, like a bum, 0 and 10, at 6 o'clock. You'll sit at the O2 Arena, but it's not going to be on TV. Or you can fight just before me, but the guy's going to be good. So I ended up finding a guy called Bella Juhasz. This is my 3rd fight. So they talk about Mike Tyson and everyone. He was like 15-8. So the guy had 23 professional fights. I hadn't had 23 fights, period. And I remember I told you, the guy could beat him. You're like, oh. So we made him come down a division from cruiserweight to light heavyweight. We dieted like crazy. We sparred like crazy. We trained like crazy. I think I sold like 5,000 tickets. Something insane. My whole school. It was
a madhouse in there.
Madhouse.
Yeah.
And I mean,
after your fight, people got up and left.
Yeah.
For the David
And my buddy Jose Mourinho, who's the coach of Roma at the time was Chelsea, was the biggest soccer manager in the world, showed up. All these celebrities showed up. And it was like living in a movie. Like, I look back at it now like, did we do that? Because remember, I came in as a guy to ask you to fight in York Hall.
Yeah, for a
unlicensed charity fight. So now we're in the O2. We're in the big leagues. You were like 40 pounds lighter. You looked handsome as hell. Looked like a young Elvis Presley. I was ripped to the bone. I'd never been that skinny. Bear in mind, I started, 130, 40 kilos, this journey. Yeah. The whole point was to diet.
Yeah, it worked.
So now I have like abs coming. There's abs I haven't seen before. And I just remember the whole experience. It was just so surreal. Like, I didn't really live it till afterwards. And then I was a 4-1 underdog. And I remember we knocked him out in the 2nd round. I felt so confident. I thought, I could beat anyone that day. And that's thanks to you. And
your sparring partners were way harder than he was.
Yeah, way harder. I think like on the night, I remember our first we both jabbed and hit each other at the same time. Mm-hmm. And one thing I learned through the years is I'm very heavy-handed, and I think he's just like, yeah, this is gonna be a long night. So yeah, we managed to get him out of there in the second round, and then flew to Cannes.
Yes,
we took a private jet to Cannes.
Yeah, we stayed in a ginormous mansion.
And you made me train even though we were out there on the boat.
Poolside,
yeah. And then that story kind of evolved. I stayed with David Haye for a few fights, and then we got the call for the fight for the title 3 weeks prior.
Yeah.
30 pounds to drop and all the risk in the world. And then we were losing that fight again and then knocked him out.
It happened, yeah.
And then that was it, really. And then now we're fighting these YouTubers.
Very exciting. And when do you think this YouTube fight may be? Where may it be? I know it's not.
So I flew to London 2 weeks ago. I shook his hand on the zone in front of millions of people. He told me May 13th, me against KSI.
Wow.
They contacted me, said they want to do a 3-fight deal for the next 12, 18 months. And then let's see how many I win. And then if I keep winning like I have been, probably do another 3.
Nice.
And I feel fresh. I don't feel like, I've been keeping going.
Oh. I mean, a lot of fighters have their amateur beat them up, and then by the time the pros are all worn out, that's not the issue.
Yeah. And I still feel like I still have the heart for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Every beginning of every training camp last time, you kind of like, am I still good enough? And then you spar a few times, like, okay, I got hit really hard. I'm still alive. So did that. And then to really finish off the video game, so I get a call from my neighbor, Bobby, who bought a company called Triller.
Sure.
And this is a funny story, because if you think of where it all started, I was a dishwasher. 13, trying to hustle a job for $1 an hour as a dishwasher, right? Forget Miami. That was like a movie. You watch Grease as a kid in England. That's how you grew up. So now I get a call from Triller. Do you want to fight at the Atlanta Falcons stadium? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. We got a rapper. I got in a fight with a rapper the week before at Kiki on the River. I'd been drinking. He'd been drinking. We talked to a girl. It all kicked off. It went viral. I didn't know who he was. And then it got a bit heavy. They got a bit gangster. I'm like, listen, I'm a guy from England. Leave me alone. I'm just in Miami getting a tan. So then I'm like, if you really want to fight me. Like, fight me but in the ring. Let's make money out of it. Why are we going to shoot each other? It was more likely they were going to shoot me than me shoot anyone.
Raycon.
Raycon.
Yeah.
And then Triller wanted to make the fight. So they make the fight. I fight at the Atlanta Falcons Arena, 100 and however many thousand people. You were there again.
Yeah. And
we win that one. And I guess I sold a lot of pay-per-views and it did well. So then I get the call. So then I'm in Mykonos, in my house in Mykonos. I'm sitting with David Haye, the guy I hated 15 years before, who then signed me, gave me the notoriety, taught me the ropes. Because one thing David Haye did teach me that I keep with me to this day is that knockout, just put him to sleep kind of mentality that I have came from David. And I could tell you sparring stories all day long, but I remember I was sparring once in his gym, his cousin, his flesh and blood, who was his best friend. And he was like, I see you can put him to sleep. Why haven't you put him to sleep yet? And he was like, it's your cousin. He's like, I don't give a fuck. Knock him out. Next round, sure as hell, put him to sleep. And he's like, that's what I want to see when you spar. So he's like that in sparring. He's like that in everything. It's like win or don't bother. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so we're sitting down in my house in Mykonos. There's a few girls around. And we start talking about boxing. And then he's gone, so one of the girls goes, well, who would win out of you two? Friend of mine, he's a heavyweight. He got 40 pounds bigger, cruiserweight and heavyweight champion. We've had a few glasses of wine. I'm like, and he laughs and he's like, it'll be a draw, trying to be PC because he's all hippie now, David. And I'm like, nah, it wouldn't be a draw. I'm like, David, let's face it. He's got a torn Achilles, torn shoulder, torn everything. I'm like, for real. He gives me that, like, he argues a little, but he knew I liked one of the girls that was there, so he kind of gives it to me, lets me win. Mm-hmm. But the next morning, he's furious.
I'm sure.
Because David's a winner at all costs, right? Like, so.
But a good wingman.
Great wingman.
Yeah.
Great. Or it could go either way. So he comes up to me and he's like, we're at breakfast. So I've forgotten the combo. Like, I moved on. He's like, listen, man, you really think you'd beat me? I'm like, yo, David, take it easy. We're on vacation. We're in my house. Like, what are you trying to do here? And he's like, because, I'd put you sleeping around. I'm like, David, you wouldn't put you sleeping around. This now goes on for 3 days. So I called Bobby from Triller. I'm like, Bobby, crazy idea, but I want to fucking fight David Haye. And he's like, everyone's like, you're going to get flattened. So just out of wanting me to get knocked out, that Mayweather idea of like, they love you to win or they love you to lose, he's like, I'll make that fight. Puts you to the board, sign it off. Next thing you know, the dishwasher from Hounslow is now fighting the cruiserweight and heavyweight world champion who took up boxing at 30 to lose weight. Miami, Hard Rock Stadium. Evander Holyfield is fighting Vitor Belfort for the main card. Tito Ortiz is fighting Anderson Silva. I'm fighting David Haye. That's the card. And John O'Carroll is fighting someone else, I remember. So that was the whole card. So now, the dishwasher, the guy that came into a gym with Michelle Pooch, who was kind of chubby, just wanted to get in a little exercise and find a Miami wife, is now sitting. I remember I was sitting down and Evander like spuds me. I'm like, it's Evander Holyfield. Right, it's Evander Holyfield, guys. He's like, what's up, Joe? And I'm like, he knows my name. And just when it couldn't get weirder or more like this is a video game, Donald Trump comes on a Zoom and he's like, hey, guys, can't wait to commentate on your fight. So there's a big surprise with Donald Trump, who's the president of the country at the time, is now the commentator. I mean, you guys got to be shitting me. This is a kid from Hounslow, right? That was hustling sneakers and washing dishes. So I fight David Haye, ended up being the second person ever in history, me and Vladimir Klitschko, to take him to points.
There you go.
And and he did try to knock me out.
Yeah, he did drop you.
Yeah.
He punches hard.
I was a slip, coach.
Oh, yeah.
I was a slip. It was a greasy surface. And then, so that was kind of the biggest thing I've done so far. And then now it's the YouTubers, but nice. So it goes to show that if you put your mind to it and you don't give up, you don't have to be that talented as long as you don't give up and you listen, and you can do something in a 27-year span from 13 to 27. Think of all of this that's happened now.
Sure.
So when you're feeling depressed and down, tomorrow's another day.
That's it. You always got another shot. Speaking of hard hits, how serious are the gold diggers around in your circles?
Well, hold on. Let me tuck this away.
I don't think people in regular lives, in regular households, can really wrap their brain around what is going on. Pre-Instagram, I think, is what taking this thing
to a whole new level.
I think girls who used to be like, pretty girls were happy to be taken to a nice restaurant before. Maybe someone bought them some champagne.
Yeah.
If you picked them up in a above average car, they appreciated it.
Yeah.
Now that they have access to all men have access to all girls, it's gone out the window. So you, who experienced this firsthand, could you please tell people what the real situation is? Don't pull any punches.
Okay. Well, firstly, let me tell you guys something, and I'm going to talk to the camera. As long as you're rich, you're extremely handsome. So focus on making money, because that is going to be, you can stand on your wallet and you're 6'8". So just remember that. That being said, it is a jungle out there, coach. I'm 40. I'm single. I don't feel like I'm getting any closer to finding a wife and having these babies that we need to tell that I want boxing titles to. And it's just, when I first saw a private jet, I was sitting on it. Mm-hmm. Like, you couldn't Google. There wasn't even Google when I got on a private jet, right? Now you can see this lifestyle that looks and feels and sounds so real from anywhere, from your phone, right? So now if someone is portraying a lifestyle on social media or giving another girl a lifestyle that of that girl, and that person becomes available or maybe not becomes available, you want to slide right in. So the level of revenue you need to generate to keep like a 10 out of 10 happy is really, really expensive. Really, really. I mean, there's no way to like mince your words. Is it costs the average, so to date a supermodel, you're talking 50 to 100 grand a month. That's a number. That's a number to kind of keep them sweet, not much aggravation, them not really checking social media too much. But then what they do, they're really good at this. They park the guys. So let's say you have a girl, she has 1-2 million followers on Instagram. She's done some magazine covers. She's very beautiful. And then Ronaldo messages her. Or maybe he's married, but let's say a superstar messages her that isn't married. A lot of the messages that are married. I know. Hypothetically. Or Canelo. Oh, he's married too. So
might have another fight.
Yeah. So anyway, they'll park it. They'll put it in a folder. They'll screenshot it. They'll save that guy. Once you're getting in an argument, back in the day, you get in an argument, you figure it out. You sit there, you cry, you laugh, you have makeup sex, you figure it out.
Yeah, maybe she calls an ex-boyfriend.
Maybe at best, and realizes he's a jerk off and comes back, and No. Now it's a direct mathematical equation. They're like KPMG. They check the accounts, they do due diligence, and they go to like the highest bidder. And unfortunately, that's not all women. But in this moment, with these lifestyles in these cities that we frequent, in my industries, it is the majority, unfortunately. Yeah. And now it's very, very hard to find someone that's very, very beautiful that doesn't want that lifestyle, which they deserve. Everyone deserves what they want. Like I reach for the stars, I want to buy the best clothes or whatever else. But you just don't have the loyalty. That is the problem. The money's not the problem. Because I make money. I want my girlfriend to wear what I'm wearing, have the best Hermes handbag, have the nicest watch, drive a Rolls Royce, fly private. Because why not? You love the person you love. If you can afford it, you give it to them all day long, right? So it's not actually money related. You just want to feel appreciated, and you want the loyalty, and you want to feel loved. But unfortunately, you don't get that because guess what? Now, it's just normal practice. Oh, well, the last guy flew me private every weekend. You only fly me private once a month. So now flying her private is just like, oh, really? We have to go first class to Europe? Jesus. What's happened? Business is tough. You don't get the, oh my God, thanks, baby. You just spent $250,000 flying me to London for the weekend. That doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So that is the problem I'm having is it's not actually the money. I don't mind. Go dig all you like. Because either way, we're going to get married, you're going to get half, and I'm happy to give it to you. Right? Because you're going to be the mother of my kids and all of that. That's what I'm working so hard for, is to make sure my family's great, like you do. It's just, they can just go to the next. And for us guys, it's very hard to get a super beautiful girl that you like. Because for me, finding a beautiful girl isn't hard. Finding a beautiful girl that's your buddy, that you can go drinking with, watch the game with, laugh, go to the gym, work out, have all the same interests. Whether she's an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 is irrelevant. Even if she's 2 out of 10, it's very hard to find that person.
Sure.
So then also I'm a faithful person. I don't believe in this kind of, I'm the breadwinner. I'm paying for everything. You live this life, but don't worry about me when I go, on business trips and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I don't believe in that. I believe in is your wife. She's got to make you horny every day for a lot of years. So you got to find her attractive, and she's got to be your buddy, and she can't do drugs, so I don't do drugs, and she can't be on the scene and everyone's been there, and she can't have dated any of your buddies, and she can't, well, you're really narrowing it down. And so social media has destroyed it because that girl that maybe wasn't on the scene now looks at all her friends that are on the scene and then just joins the scene. And in the end, I believe that there is a big temptation to sell your soul to the devil, to the highest bidder. And I'm just too romantic to accept that.
Do they not realize that there's not a product out there that as it ages, if it's used, it goes down in value?
Well,
are they not aware of that, or?
I mean, you have leather jackets. They last time.
Yeah, but they're not what I paid for. They're not worth what I paid for when I bought them retail.
Yeah.
A bottle of wine is that way, but once you open it, it's not worth what it was.
I think they don't.
And these girls have all been opened.
Yes, that's true. Especially the ones I've dated. No, I think they don't think that far ahead. I think it becomes a very much like what I need right now. And so you can't explain, like, you don't know what you don't know. So, like, as a business person, we forecast. right? So we're like, what's going to happen? Recession's coming. This is coming. What are we going to do? Cut costs. You know, we're business people. Whereas like a lot of people, a lot of females, they've never really had to run a company. There's a lot that have.
Sure.
But I'm saying in my scene, you know, they're either in fashion business or whatever, which, you know, they've only ever really been, I guess, valued for their looks. So that's what they've had to be great at. So they can get you the best nail guy, they can get you the best Botox guy, they can get you the best hair guy. You know, everything's pristine. But when it comes to, do you know that if you go and date this person, this is going to be now your future? Like, that's your representation of your brand. Same way if I allowed drug dealers to sell drugs in my clubs, I would be a drug dealer. So I don't allow that because I would never want that to be my brand, right?
Sure.
But they're like, yeah, but if I go with this person, I get $100,000 watch. So it doesn't really matter because right now I get $100,000. And so then you apply a value to your reputation, which you should never do because that's the only thing you have when you die is your reputation and your legacy. So no, but there should be like a school created, you know, an education, you know, when they teach manners.
Yes.
I think there should be like, look at 5 years down the line, look at 10 years down the line, look at what your kids are looking at, your future kids are going to see, you know? And that's just my opinion. It sounds a little chauvinistic in some ways because I know there's some incredible, super wealthy women that have made it like I have, that have made more money than me and done great things. And they're single, and I'd love to meet them. But I'm saying my experiences, especially in the last few years, and let me tell you, I know everyone's going to say this, so I'm going to say it first. I'm the biggest culprit because I portray the lifestyle that a lot of these people will go and perceive. If I was driving around in a Volkswagen and I was wearing a Casio and I just showed up and was super, I'd probably get a really nice girl. But having been with a 10, do you go down to 5 and then stay faithful? Being real with you, you don't. You know, and you break up and then she dates a mortgage broker. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I've been, I'm very critical of you and on a personal relationship as your older brother, whatever, coach. Mm-hmm. And I feel you turn girls into gold diggers.
Well, you know what's so fucked up about it is this. How do you sit down on a table and I like red wine and order $1,000 bottle of red wine and buy her a birthday gift for $500? She's like, he just drank that bottle of wine in 35 minutes with me. And now I
understand, but it's the first date. It just happens to be her birthday.
It's a birthday every day.
Yeah.
No, I think that's what I'm saying. I am the culprit.
Yeah.
But it is that elitism mentality that I have where I want my girl to be the best. Like, I just met a girl right now in Spain. She's Miss Spain, okay? And she is everything that I want in a girl, okay? She's Zara everything, H&M everything. And she's super low-key, humble, doesn't have, millions of followers on social media, doesn't do all the things.
She's literally won Miss Spain. So
she's Miss Spain.
Yeah, so she's kind of famous.
Yeah.
Especially in Spain.
Yeah. She's a big deal. She's doing a cover of Elle magazine this Friday.
Okay, there you go.
But she was wearing Zara shoes, right? They look terrible.
Did they look terrible?
They look awful. And she wears them like a workhorse, wears them, whereas I have 500 pairs of shoes, I've worn them twice, So now, so I'm stood there and she sends me a picture today of a fashion shoot she was doing and she's wearing the shoes. And the outfit is incredible and I look at the shoes. I couldn't. I was like, babe, what's your favorite brand of boots? Because they're like boots that she wears every day. She's like, I don't know. What do you think? I just kind of show up in Zara and H&M. And I'm like, okay, what's your shoe size? What's your address? I got you. And I'm sending her some Louis Vuitton boots because I feel like bad for her that she's so here. And then I know I'm creating the monster myself. But you can't take it with you either.
That's true.
So I just couldn't bear to see it anymore because you see this kind of I guess it's like seeing a super talented athlete with a really bad attitude.
Yeah.
You got to take away the attitude. So for me, it's seeing a super, my future wife, I got to get her some better shoes.
It sounds to me like you take a super athlete and giving her a bad attitude.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
That's what you're doing.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so that's the reality.
That's my problem.
That's the reality of the gold diggery and.
Yeah, I'm just as a culprit, so I'll take
it. Takes two to tango.
Takes two to tango.
So it's not all their fault.
No, totally mine.
Okay, well, we'll cut it.
Yeah.
Well, this was great. There's a million more Joe Fournier stories, and hopefully the podcast keeps going. We'll have him back. He has new projects. I know that it's a little hush-hush right now, but sooner or later we'll hear about this giant new thing.
Yeah.
And you'll come keep us posted, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. me, and I can't wait to see you grow and beat Joe Rogan.
There you go. Thank you.